changing the encrypted data back to the original data is called decryption. So defense in depth is one more mechanism in security where you have multiple layers of security. So if you have only antivirus in your desktop, some attack through the network may not be captured. So you have multiple layers. So one is perimeter security, where physical security, you make sure that your servers are in a safe location in your lab. Somebody can come, unauthorized user can come and steal your hard disk. So it's important to have physical security in the first place. So usually you have access cards and other mechanism to make sure that physical security is ensured. Then you have network level security, where you have firewall and DMZ, which I'll explain later. And compute security is antivirus and data loss prevention products. And storage security is encryption and zoning. So if in one layer of security, if an attacker gets to your infrastructure, you make sure that in another layer at least you detect this attack and stop this attack. So this will improve your security of the system instead of having only one mechanism of security. So what is the difference between traditional data center and the modern data center which is hosted on cloud? So in traditional data center, all your resources like servers and your storage, everything might be co-located in a single location or maybe in multiple location, but is limited to that organization. But in case of cloud, in case of private cloud, it might be restricted to only your organization, but in case of hybrid or public cloud, the infrastructure is shared by multiple enterprises, multiple users, and it might be very huge, distributed across geography. Your one server might be in Asia and other server might be in US, and you might be using it seamlessly without knowing where your servers or where your data exists. And also you have mobile apps which are trying to access cloud. So it is more complicated than a traditional data center, and you need in-depth security mechanism to make sure that your cloud infrastructure is secure. So let's see who are the players in a public cloud. So there can be an enterprise P and an enterprise Q, and user might belong to either of the enterprises, and the public cloud is hosted by cloud service provider. So the cloud service provider is responsible of maintaining your server, storage, network and all the resources, and making sure that when requested, the resources are available to you. But the user need not know what is there at the back end. And also it is shared by different organizations, different users. So the user is not aware of who also is sharing his data. In case of private cloud, it is restricted to a particular organization. It might be on-premise, which is in the enterprise, or it can be hosted by a cloud service provider, but the entire infrastructure is restricted to one enterprise. There aren't multiple enterprises using the same infrastructure. Hybrid cloud is where a company, for example, might have its mission critical data in its private cloud, in its enterprise cloud, where it makes sure that my mission critical, very important confidential data is not on cloud, but some not so important data might have been moved to public cloud. So it's a combination of private and public cloud, which is hybrid cloud. So with the use of, with the introduction of multiple users and multiple enterprises and a heterogeneous hardware infrastructure, new security concerns arise. So multi-tenancy is one of them, velocity of attack, information assurance, and data privacy and ownership. Let's see each one of it in next slides. Multi-tenancy is the concept where multiple virtual machines are located in a single infrastructure. A single server or a single server hosts multiple virtual machines, and each multiple each virtual machines are co-located in the same server. So in case of a public cloud, so my company might be using one virtual machine, and another company, which might be a competitor company, might be using another virtual machine which is hosted in the same server. So that's how multi-tenancy brings in a new security threat, where the same infrastructure might be shared by different organizations, and your virtual machines might be co-located in a single server. So for the cloud service provider also, this brings new challenge. Each company has its own security policy. So when multiple organizations have heterogeneous various forms of security policies, how does the cloud provider ensure that they make sure that each company's security policy is fulfilled, is enforced very correctly in a uniform way, because the underlying infrastructure is the same. So another concern is velocity of attack. So as we explained, in case of a public cloud, it might be thousands of servers running in the same location or across the geographies, thousands of terabytes of data. So the entire infrastructure which is available for the user, which the surface of attack increases with the introduction of cloud. In case of a single enterprise having single data center which is within its premise, it's only their set of servers on which they have control. But whereas cloud, the infrastructure is huge, so the surface which is available for attack is huge. So that's why the velocity of attack is also higher. So because of this, potential loss also is very high, because if one VM is attacked, the entire infrastructure might get attacked. So in that case, trying to contain the attack to a particular location also might become more difficult. So to counter this challenge, the cloud service providers need to have more strict security enforcement compared to a classical data center. Another concern, as we explained earlier, is the information assurance and data ownership. So how do you make sure that the confidentiality of your data is maintained? Because cloud service provider now has access to your data, and also some other enterprise also might be using the same infrastructure. How do you make sure that your competitor is not stealing your data, or is or your competitor is not brick? Rajesh, charger.